Hey, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Justice. I am Suzette Speaks, a TV host and attorney, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we are going to tackle a very difficult subject. Today's show will be dedicated to the women of USA gymnastics. If you guys did not get to catch the testimony of Simone Biles or Raisan or Maggie Nichols or McKayla Maroney, we're going to break it down today. And I want to give fair warning to viewers that might be sensitive. This has a lot to do with child sexual abuse, and it's a very sensitive topic for many people. So I just want to warn you that this show will have some, sensitive discussion points. So please be advised. I want to welcome you, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. Please drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. And of course, I want to, again, let you know what this forum is about. Let's Talk Justice is a show where we break down current events and legal issues for everyday people. As I said before, today's show is going to tackle what was just presented on Capitol Hill by way of the top women in gymnastics. A former college champion and 3 former Olympians sat down in front of the cameras on Capitol Hill in front of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee to tell their stories of abuse. And if you didn't watch it, oh my gosh, it was heart-wrenching. I was just rewatching it before I got on today. And again, it is very symbolic. It was very emblematic of the ongoing need to protect our women and girls, and how there were, in this case, so many failures. So please, again, let me know where you're watching from. Again, in my show, even though I am an attorney, I'm not going to be dispensing any legal advice. I can't do that. So if you have a specific issue, particularly when it comes to issues like what we're going to be discussing today, you can contact an attorney directly. Again, an attorney on an individual basis should be contacted to evaluate any question or legal issue you may have. Again, viewer discretion is advised. So as I was watching the testimony and as I was reading articles, and good day, hi, welcome. Blind Guy, his wife, their life, I can count on you, good day, and watching from Virginia. I didn't know that's where you guys were. But as I said, today is not as lighthearted of a topic as I usually try to tackle. When I was watching the testimony yesterday and reading news articles about it today, it touched me in such a way that I really thought, we should really talk about this, because for so long in our country and in our culture, the subculture of African American culture and Black culture, we have had an issue with openly discussing sexual abuse, whether it's within our families, in our churches, as in this case. Hi, Hot Chocolate, welcome. Whether it is, in this case, sports and youth athletics, there has been a lot of cases of child sex abuse around our country. And I don't know if you guys have felt the same way as I have after the expose done on the Catholic Church a few years back. It was so, oh my gosh, sickening to me to, think about how trusted individuals were given access to innocent children, and there were people who allegedly covered them, covered up all the pain they caused, all the crimes they committed, all the ways that they violated the babies. And here I was watching yesterday on Capitol Hill, the most decorated gymnast in the world, one of the toughest. And I have seen Good Evening stop by, say, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're discussing a very hard topic today. And again, I'm going to go there. So if you are sensitive to talk about child sex abuse, etc., please, be advised that this might be a triggering episode. But yes, as I was listening to, and let me back up a little bit and set the table for those who did not watch what was going on in Capitol Hill yesterday. So the Senate, U.S. Senate Judiciary Subcommittee, the Judiciary Committee handles all of the aspects of lawmaking, and when there are violations of law, particularly within the federal government, they oftentimes will take it up and call witnesses to be heard in front of the cameras, in front of the public, as the hearing is usually open to the public and is recorded, usually by the media. And it struck me that these four women who came forward to testify took the invitation, said yes. It was something that was quite brave, and that puts it lightly. I would also just call it very traumatic, because they had to relive in front of everyone what actually happened to them in very graphic detail. If you listen to some of the testimony, particularly of McKayla Maroney, talking about one Larry Nassar, the convicted pedophile and child abuser that spent, I believe he started with USA Gymnastics from 1978. This man was the team doctor. So we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of women and girls who were at the disposal of a very sick man. And according to the testimony that we saw yesterday, many people within the organizations that were charged with protecting these young girls and women knew that they had a pedophile and predator in their ranks and did nothing about it. And I'm going to, how are you? I'm glad you didn't catch it, didn't know. Yep, this was a big deal yesterday, and it has been covered by many news outlets. And I just wanted to touch on it because I thought, these women, as brave as they are to basically re-traumatize themselves by sitting there and sharing with the entire world what happened to them, they deserve not only a round of applause, but much more, solidarity and coverage, because it was not easy for them. And as I was watching Simone Biles, and like I said, yes, the cover up is quite shameful. I agree with you 100%. As I was watching Simone Biles testify and break down into tears, it just took me back to a few weeks ago when she was sitting in Tokyo. And I thought to myself, wow, how triggering must it have been to not have your parents with you because of COVID. Of course, the gymnasts did not travel with their normal support team, but to be alone, in a sense, in places where things have happened to you, where you had experienced some very, very sadistic and violating acts. And these women, all while they were still being, and especially, who's all of their testimony struck me, but particularly McKayla Maroney. McKayla Maroney spoke of, and she was an Olympian, spoke of the abuse that took place against her right before she went out and won a gold medal in London. And it gives me goosebumps to think about, my Lord, how people can still, appear to function while some of the most horrific things are happening to them behind closed doors. And I thought about how many people don't get believed and are sometimes accused of being like, no, that didn't happen to you. How were you able still to go fill in the blank, go do gymnastics, go run track, go whatever? But it is an amazing feat of compartmentalization where a young girl can really know that someone is violating them, and over and over and over again, because some of the testimony went back from 2015 is when the FBI was called in. Now, mind you, the man has been the doctor since 1978, worked up at a university in Illinois and a hospital. Not only was he USA Gymnastics doctor, he also ran an office. And it just struck me that particularly when the U.S. government, by way of the FBI, got involved, how the word tragic cannot express enough how just terribly, I think this case has been handled. And looking at, thank you guys for the comments. Say, always people know about this. Some people don't get away with something like this without people protecting them. And that was one of the main themes, thank you, that was being shared yesterday by these brave gymnasts and women and advocates now who spoke up. They were focused on the accountability of everybody else, the machine, The people, yes, Larry Nassar is serving what is in effect a life sentence. Yes, he was convicted and got hundreds of years. Some people say he probably should have got the death penalty, but he's still alive and he will probably die, most likely in prison. But the people who aided and abetted, who allegedly knew, were told, particularly here in this hearing, it was the role of the FBI and how two agents in particular were the ones, male agents, sent to investigate this alleged heinous crime. And instead of doing what they were supposed to be doing, they were making friends with USGA officials, USA Gymnastics officials, and as well as the it's the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee officials. And even at one point, the president, or I should allegedly say the leadership of USA Gymnastics, was even offering one of the FBI agents after he retired, why didn't you think about coming over here to work for us? And it was just egregious in terms of you, the FBI agent representing the government, sweeping things under the rug. And no one has truly investigated. That's why they were sitting there in front of Congress. No one has truly investigated why. Were they being perhaps paid off, allegedly? Were there other folks who basically wanted to protect the sponsorships and the money that was flowing into this organization more than the young girls and women that they were in charge of keeping safe? The two FBI agents, one was allowed to retire. Hello. I'm late to stuff like this. Better stuff like this be kept on the low. I hear you, but it's in the open now. To still be on top of your game while your coach or whatever is mistreating you, that's a different type of mental toughness. Yeah, when I was talking about Simone Biles, I thought about that. I was like, nobody knew what she was going through but her. When people were some people did not show support and allege that, she had choked or, this kind of thing. You have no idea what this poor woman might have been experiencing, knowing that she, as she said in her testimony, had been abused for this many years. And again, welcome to everybody watching. I see you. I am going to talk a little bit about the testimony that we heard. I know it's a tough topic, Snuggles. I see you. There are so many parts of this puzzle. I'm trying to break it down, and I had my outline in my mind, but the conversation, of course, will go where we take it. But as I was saying, the Judiciary Committee in the United States Senate invited these ladies to come and be heard because the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, our federal police force, if you will, were involved and had interviewed all of them. And I thought some of the questions that were given by the whole testimony and the whole question and answer was probably about an hour. You could watch it on, I'm sure, any of the news outlets out there. The major news outlets carried it in full. But if you look at some of the questions that were asked, were you ever sent a female FBI agent? I think one person said yes, but the main people that they ended up back in the hands of were these two agents. One of the agents was allowed to retire, really, with full benefits. And I think the other agent no longer works with them, but they were never criminally prosecuted, and no one can give any definitive answer why they were introduced to the facts of the case. This was in 2015. They started interviewing the ladies. Simone Biles, in her testimony, shared that she had never been prepped. It was like while she was training at the facility up there, and I believe it was in either Illinois or Michigan, they were pulling them out of practice. The FBI was showing up at the gym, at the facility, and it was known that they were there. And I'm thinking to myself, these are young girls and women. How on edge you must be to think, the FBI is here. What I say could cost me my place on the U.S. national team. And one of the folks that testified yesterday, one of the ladies Maggie Nichols, said that's exactly what happened to her in 2015. That because she spoke up, she was no longer welcome on the team. And she went on, I think she left US gymnastics, I'm not sure of the time period, from 2015 to 2016, said, you know what? Went to college because she was no longer welcome, and had an illustrious career, I think at Oklahoma, she said, and was national champion there and won several national titles while in college. But imagine an environment being so hostile that something that you've dedicated your life to from the time she said she was 3, because of the dream to represent the United States of America as an Olympian, as a gymnast. And knowing that with that sacrifice came literally the sacrifice of your innocence that your parents didn't know. McKayla Maroney, one of the gymnasts that testified, said she told the FBI what she had not even told her parents. And in her testimony, and again, I warn you that this can be somewhat graphic, but the so-called Dr. Nassar told her to come without her underpants on so that he can examine her in her private area without gloves for hours. She said she was even given sleeping pills so that when she would arrive at a destination, she was always his last, quote, patient to see, because she said it was like an ongoing nightmare for hours. And that the FBI agents in charge of this case not only brushed aside what she had said, what Simone Biles had said, what Ali Raisman had said. Ali Raisman's testimony was also magnificent in terms of honesty, transparency, and bravery. Ali Raisman talked about how after her interviews with these 2 agents that are no longer with the Bureau, they were very dismissive. They asked them to keep it a secret. They asked them not to talk to one another. Now, in that case, I could see you don't want witnesses to influence one another. But at the same time, they said after they had told them the deepest, darkest secret they were like harboring with it, they were carrying heavy in their heart, both of these agents were like, is that it? That was their response via phone. Even when I listened to McKayla Maroney, she was like, this, I'm re-traumatized. Like I couldn't move for days after I spoke to them about this. And the guys from the FBI, so-called agents, were like, oh, is that it? That's it? That's what happened? Asked her if the so-called treatments actually helped her. This is a young woman telling you a man is sticking their hand in you know where, ungloved, for hours at a time, talking about treatment, and asked her if it helped her. It sickens my stomach. It made me think that these men get off on this too. What was there to gain? A lot of money. According to their testimony, a possible job with the same very entity. And all the while, according to the ladies, the heads of gymnastics are holding out a fake narrative that they support victims and they're here to get to the bottom of it. And nobody's gotten to the bottom of anything. How did it happen? Why? Who else was involved? What was the cover-up about? Saving y'all's sponsorship and y'all's money coming in? When you know there was somebody that was sexualizing and abusing children? When I think about all of the coaches who probably knew, you have to vet people. And once you know, act. And I'm talking about since 1978. Since 1978, this man has been the USA Gymnastics team doctor. Each lady spoke with such poise, even though the subject matter had to literally pull out their worst memories in their lives. their deepest, darkest secret. Yet they still took their power back and were courageous enough to say, you know what? If it stops another little girl from having to experience this, I'm going to speak up today. Ali Reisman says she felt so much guilt because there were little girls coming up after her telling her that because of her and how much they looked up to her, they wanted to go to the Olympic doctor. They wanted to go to USA gymnastics team doctor just like her. She said she had tons of guilt about that she also had to deal with and process through tons of therapy. And yet and still they competed. And yet and still they brought home gold after gold. It was the revelations were beyond disbelief. Watching Simone Biles try to hold it together and literally coming to tears during her testimony. And I thought to myself, Lord, this is the most decorated woman in this sport, the baddest to ever do it. And yet still she could not escape. She could not evade the abuse. Yet and still she shined so brightly. While the adults in the room, and that's what she said she kept on the team. At 24, going on 25, she said, I'm the old lady, I'm the grandma of the group. And I want to be here because if I felt like if I didn't come to Tokyo, this was her talking about why she was in Tokyo, that this would get swept off the cover. This would get swept under the rug because there was no active woman who was on the Olympic team who had experienced the abuse. So she was like, I need to be here. My call is to be here to make sure the people who need to be held accountable still are. I'm going to read some of your comments, guys. Hey, K24 Nick says, well, when the pockets of people are being greased, of course, that would be their ultimatum, of course. And again, they need to investigate and find out, yes, keep your mouth shut or be gone. So can you imagine how much pressure your mom and dad and sacrifice? Your people spent all this money, all this time waking up in God knows when in the morning to bring you over to these training facilities. If you really look at the lives that these gymnasts lead, the elite ones, or to get to the elite level, oh, it's no joke. You eat, sleep, breathe gymnastics. Whatever they tell you to do, you do. It is so, and remember, these are children, many of them. So the obedience to, the adult figure is expected. And of course, you don't want to ruin your chances to go to the Olympics. You want to do what coach says. You want to do what doc says. And they let this go on. From 2015, they said they told the FBI. And the FBI sat on it. It did not move till about 2016 and change, more than a year. And in that time, they said approximately over 100 more girls and women were allowed to be abused by this man. You have evidence. This man was never pulled. This man was actually protected. Allowed to run for school board where he was from. I say, Lord, if this is not privilege, I do not know what it is. Do you all think it's the medical privilege because of the term doctor? I said to myself, I just can't believe it. Another comment here, it's weird how they have stories like this out there, but everyone is focused on Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. Good point. And you have more men in other cultures. Good point. Doing this, but no one talks about that. Isn't that? I would agree with you, Snuggle 668. There are so many people that don't only want to talk about certain people. And we have egregious cases like this, where the government dropped the ball. The organizations that are given the power to oversee and protect, it is unacceptable. It is unacceptable. And I'm so glad they came forward and shared what they did. And to add insult to injury, the people who need to talk about this the most only talk about their own, but do not talk about anyone else that has a track record of doing the same thing. Oh my, good point. Very good point. Yeah, not that big of splash reach to news outlets. Yeah, I saw it in certain places, but I didn't see it everywhere. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about this. This bothers me because they had to keep going back to their abuser with no one willing to help. Who knew? They knew. Those people knew what was going on. Those people knew what was going on. Absolutely. Hot Chocolate says, feel so bad what they went through. Absolutely. And they were still competing. They were still competing. When I listened to McKayla Maroney talk about how she had to take the floor the next day and won gold, I was like, God, Lee, they have to get counseling. This could mess you up. The guilt, the shame, the parts of you that this can't be healed on your own. This needs therapy. To not blame yourself, to not feel guilt because you knew, and other people coming up behind you also, because they see you as like the superstar and, oh, she goes to that doctor. I want to go to that doctor too. There's a lot to process here, y'all. I'm just thinking about it. Sakpa said, interesting how the media is speaking about Nicki Minaj all day, but keep quiet about this, but protect kids and women, right? Listen. This is something that is so uncomfortable, and it doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your age. People like to say, and I was watching The View. I caught a bit of The View the other morning, and I was just thinking about the segment they were doing with, oh my gosh, I forget the lady's name who helped to, or who started the Me Too movement. I'm looking at her face, and she was talking about her rape allegations, or her alleged rape when she was underage, and she was always told that she was ugly and she was not, going to be anything, and she always equated that to, being ugly. Why she was being raped was, because nobody wanted her. And she talks about how she got involved with helping women who have been victims for that very reason, because there were no advocates of color. There was no, Black women that were empowered where she was from. I think she's from like Alabama, and she was just talking, or Mississippi, and she was talking about just how it impacted her life so much. And again, her mother did not know. Her mother did not know. And it happens like that a lot. And mothers carry guilt, fathers carry guilt. Even in this type of case, even in the gymnastics case, when Nassar was being sentenced, I don't know if you guys remember the film of him being in the courtroom. One of the fathers of another sisters, two sisters who were gymnasts and were abused by him, lunged at him in the courtroom. Like, if I could just get 10 minutes with you. Think about the guilt you as a parent experience going, taking your kids to this man and to these meets. And this man is taking full advantage. Straight pedophile. Straight predator. And it wasn't dealt with accordingly. It was allowed. It was protected. It's something that again, them having survived it, it is just something that we people are afraid of losing big funding. Yes, absolutely. When there's all these big title sponsors involved, you don't want to talk about abuse. Shh. We'll handle it. We'll handle it. Next thing you know, another 100 women and girls are abused. Oh, no. We're here for the victims. We're going to prevent this. Are you? Are you going to prevent this? When I think about some of the coaches over the years in USA Gymnastics, how you had to go to their ranch and you had to try out and all this other stuff. They had complete control of these ladies and girls. They had complete control of them. Their destiny, whether you would be an Olympian, where you're going to be picked in that top 5 or that top 8. You did what they said. Go see him. And I thought to myself, wow, no one else has gotten arrested. The 2 FBI agents sitting at home, one was allowed to retire with their full pension. And it still befuddles me how the FBI director at the time, the current one, testified also that, this didn't happen under his watch, but he's going to do everything in his power to find out why. Some heads got to roll. Some people got to be held accountable. Because it wasn't just him by himself. He could not have done this without people aiding and covering up for him. It has to be more than just him. And the people who supplied him, basically endless children. Endless children. I'm like, is there a whole ring of y'all in this? What's going on? Yeah, it really bothers me. This case really bothers me. Hello, I'm glad that someone somewhere didn't give up on justice. Amen to that, TJ. Welcome. If the doctor was Black, I wonder what would have been said. Oh, man. We say equal justice under the law. Good point. I understand your point. That doctor would have been flame broiled in 19. I don't mean to laugh, but in 1978. Thank you for that comment. Flame broiled in 1978. Let me read a few more of your comments. The world needs to apologize because they were calling them weak and a quitter. Yes, to Simone Biles. Seeing her on that witness stand, I was like, whoa, child. Only she knows what she was dealing with. The trigger of being in arenas. And you could see online still pictures of the one Mr. Nassar and how he would be stretching them and stuff right there on the sidelines. And imagine you're like, God, Lee, I'm sitting here getting ready to go on uneven bars. I'm ready to do my floor exercise. And the man that just stuck his fingers up inside me is sitting up here ready to hold my leg, talking about he's stretching me. That is so horrific. And the power and control he probably felt he had, because that's what it's about. People think it's about sex. It's about power and control. The fact that these women were and these girls were helpless and had to do what he said. It is the most sickening thing. Funny part is that some people will still start tripping over, swept under the rug, eventually. Yes, absolutely. I don't understand. I see a different. I think you're giving me the translation. Thank you. You're giving me the translation for sure. For sure. And Hot Chocolate says, I agree. They know what's going on. And the fact that they felt like no one cared probably hurts my heart. Absolutely. 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 It is something to behold. Medical privilege is a mess. Thank you. Not everybody with the white coat on, deserves or is a practitioner of do no harm. I've come to realize that there are some admirable people in the medical field, but not everybody. There are some people that are money hungry. There's some people that are actually prejudiced. And like you're saying, I think the white coat, but he's a doctor. He's a pillar of the community. There are doctors that commit crime. It does not make them exempt to being, a child molester because he's a doctor. Yeah, no. He should be even held to a higher standard. But I agree with you. The way this was swept under the rug while these children were serving their country unprotected. Simone said that in her testimony. She was like, I counted it the biggest privilege to represent the United States in competition. And to know that not only myself, several other people, Allie Raceman, in just talking about how she was dismissed, and over a year and change, a year and a few months before anybody fired this man. He was fired in 2016. They came forward in 2015. Over a year, you let this man abuse new victims. And you didn't say anything, Mr. FBI, those two agents, giving the whole Bureau a bad name. Not everybody in the FBI is terrible. Of course, that's not what we're saying here. But where are these two agents? They're allowed to go right into the sunset. Nobody's going to be held accountable. Something's wrong with that. We saying all lives matter, right? Do women matter? Who matters? That's really what this shows you. Who really matters? It is quite heartbreaking. Her mentality is moving forward. Speak your truth. I hear you. And I hear you. We don't know, but I would agree with you. I would agree with you. Everyone who knew about this should catch a case, says Sakbase. Need to start making real examples so people can second guess before covering up. Yeah. I don't know what kind of vetting process, who's in charge over there. Both the in the testimony of all the ladies, they talked about both USA Gymnastics and the role of the USA Olympic and Paralympic Committee. That those organizations plus the FBI failed all of them. To some degree or another, they failed. And there's no transparent and neutral investigation going on, having ever been done, to uncover why. That's what they said they wanted. Why, Ali Raceman asked, has there never been an investigation as to why and who was involved and to what extent, besides these two FBI agents who clearly, swept things aside, swept them under the rug for over a year, excuse me. Why were they protecting this man? Why were all these people protecting this man instead of protecting those young ladies and girls? It's sick. It is so sick. We could do better, America. We could really do better. That's not going to happen in a perfect world. Yes, I hear you. Everyone should catch a case was his comment. I hear you. And yes, they over there, the agents over there sipping pina colada on the beach, retired and everything. Money saved up, pension in full effect. And you got people that McKayla Maroney says she don't understand how she even gonna walk out the hearing room. Ali Raceman said the same thing. She's like, I don't know even how I'm gonna get up and walk out of here. You don't understand what it does to me when I have to relive it, when I have to speak on it and share it, open myself back up to those emotions, open myself up back to this horrific ordeal in my childhood. It is not easy for them to do what they did. That's why I was like, I have to talk about this. It is not like sexual violence, sexual assault, child molestation. It's very common, guys. It's not talked about. Rape is one of the most underreported crimes in our country. But in this case, they said something and people still didn't do anything. That's the tragedy here. They reported it and they still got no justice until 2016 when the man finally was fired. But if they could cover it up, I'm telling you, they would have. If they could pay everybody off or get people to, hush up any kind of way, they would have. Because the image of the sport was more important than the actual lives of the people participating. The actual young girls. Oh no, because it's big money, guys. From all of the training they got to do to the huge endorsement deals and sponsors and underwriters. Oh no, it's big money. So is that more important than the lives of actual human beings? I'm talking about hundreds, possibly thousands of victims. This man was able to do this for almost more than 30 years. More than 30 years. And the FBI just got involved 2015. And not to even think about his patients at the hospital and at the college. Child, it just makes my blood boil. You were right. But I don't get how they can railroad drug dealers and other criminals. But in a case like this, they just focus on, right, no one else was involved. Just one person. We got him. We're done. Nuh-uh. No. Absolutely. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Y'all think y'all slick. A lot of people need to be held accountable. That's what Simone was saying. The accountability process, it has never been completed with his conviction. That's the tip of the iceberg. There are so many other people that were involved that have to be held to account for their inaction. Like for me as an attorney, I am a mandatory reporter. Even during a attorney-client privilege, if I hear that a child is being harmed in any type of way. I'm a mandatory reporter. Same thing with medical doctor. You mean to tell me no other supervisor, no other doctor, nobody else on the medical staff knew and was not writing up notes and charts? The Allie, I think it was actually McKayla, said some of the abuse was videotaped. It's on tape. It's sick. And no one said nothing. You leave the child to speak up, the athlete to speak up. The entire apparatus around them failed, guys. And I'm so grateful. You know, if you listen to questions from Senator Cory Booker, some of the questions were very profound because it allowed them to fully express or give more detail about the full effect of this tragic and horrific ongoing abuse, the full effect on their lives. They still human beings and they still got to try to live. We're not even talking about competition anymore. They're grown up and they got to look back at their life like, whoa, this happened to me. This happened to me. It's a very shocking, the whole testimony is worth listening to, guys. It's about an hour and change. Blind guy, his wife, their life says, I always wonder about the cover up crew. How do they sleep? Yes. K24 Nick, man, because they're eye candy for the masses. Sac passe. This is another thing. If you look going into like late 70s, early 80s, the outfits that the gymnasts, y'all want to come up? Anybody want to come up and join me? Do anybody really want to join and give commentary and tell me how they feel about this? Let me invite y'all up. Haven't done that in a moment. Please be patient with me, but if you want to voice your opinion, now is the time. Would love for you guys to join the stream and just share your thoughts on what's going on. Yeah, I was just gonna say the outfits that they wear. Yes, the high cut bikini bottoms on children. And even if you look at how, and I'm very big on cinematography and how people video things and capture things and photograph things. If you even look at how these children were photographed, I think the argument can be made that there was a bent towards sexualization. I remember thinking like, boy, they can't even flip. They whole underwear in their derriere. Like these are children. They couldn't even move. And even on the camera work side, looking at how the cameraman captured certain things, I was always like, this is a little, even as a little girl myself, I'm thinking this is not good. And I'm talking about, I come up in the era of watching Dominique Dawes. Y'all remember Dominique Dawes? That was my girl. I wanted to be Dominique Dawes. Couldn't flip, but I wanted to be Dominique Dawes. Love her. Representation matters. And I think she's coaching. I wonder if it happened to her too. I don't know if she's come forward. I hear you. I'm not sure that this is in your scope of law, but isn't this this is another point that was made. Thank you for raising it. With the ladies during their testimony. They were like, yes, people were taken to him across state lines, right? You traveled with this man and he was allowed to see whoever he wanted, children to whoever, and that they were moving around the country, going on tours and et cetera, and competing with this man. And that argument was made. The argument was made that literally they were trafficked in a sense. Yes, good point. Good point. Good point. Good point. That was raised during the testimony. Let me see. You're saying no. I'd love to hear your opinion, but I think Simone raised it in her testimony, saying that it was like delivered to him, children, wherever he was around the world for over 30 years, from 78 to 2016. Yeah, it's kind of scary to think about. And I don't know his final conviction and charges if trafficking was one of the ultimate charges that he faced. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look. Isn't that what people look at high cut bikinis? Yeah, isn't that what you people look like? Oh boy, and the track girls, yeah, basically they're wearing underwear. Yeah. And they have talked about it. Certain professional athletes have talked about that as well. Not liking certain cuts. Even we had a was it the USA volleyball team or one of the volleyball teams during Tokyo? We're talking about I forget which country. They had regular shorts on and they were going to be penalized for not wearing like the shorts, like bikini-ish shorts. They were like, no, we can swing and we can hit with the regular shorts. Thanks very much. And it was like a big deal. Like, should it matter? Should my uniform be that revealing if I'm not comfortable with it? And if the team decides we're going to wear a different style and a longer short, why are you penalizing me? It was a big deal even then. I agree with you. In multiple sports, the outfits for track girls, I feel for them. Again, you got to be very careful because at younger ages, like in high school and stuff, I remember even in volleyball when we started, I played volleyball in high school wearing shorter shorts. My mom was like, where you going? Like, we went from like almost basketball style shorts to like the next season of like tights. She was like, ma'am, find a way to find something else to wear. My mom was not having it. The power this man had to abuse our daughters for the sake of winning medals was unacceptable. I hear you, Alexander. Nice to see you. I'm glad you joined. I'm glad you are here. Didn't hear that part. My apologies. Okay, cool. No problem. The conversation is good. All the way from Norway. Okay. Oh, it was Team Norway. It was Team Norway and the volleyball shorts. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys, for filling that in. It was Norway. Yes. They were like, no, thank you. We want regular shorts. And I think that also goes into, how the sport is marketed, how comfortable people are in doing their job, and who gets to make the decision. The Olympic Committee, etc., says, hey, wear these bikini bottoms. We need you to do that in volleyball. Why? And even I remember I think it was Shelly Ann Fraser Price in their 4x100 run when they were asked about choosing their outfit. She was like, everybody was down with the outfit except I think it was one of their runners. I think it was Sharika Jackson was like, I didn't really want to wear the panty, as she says. I wanted to wear a regular shorts, but the outfit was a bad outfit. They had the long sleeves to it. So that she was like, okay, I just went with the team. But imagine having to make that decision. Like, okay, I want to look cute, I want to be comfortable, and I want to be covered, and not really having like an outfit that matches all of those things. So they went with the cutest one, right? So it was very interesting just even to hear her. It was a also fleeting comment, but I was like, that's actually a big deal that she couldn't find something that was very fashionable yet covered, and therefore just went along with the team. As you say, K24 Nick, sex sells and brings more views. This is what they've been pumping with little girls for years. And now they wonder why they have a child molester, a child abuser among their ranks for almost 40 years. Wonder how that happened when that's what you basically been selling for little children. And I actually will say, in my opinion, the camera angles during this Olympics and since Larry Nassar's conviction have been a little bit more conservative. When the girls are walking from the floor exercise, you're only getting their waist up, thank you, Lord. Or you're not getting these weird angles where you're staring into people's private parts on the camera, etc. I did think they have gotten a lot of tighter shots above the breast and above, and much more of their faces and reactions of the team and things like that. I have seen a difference. I don't know if you guys would agree when it comes to Alex, you're on. I don't see your face. Can you come on? Yes. Ooh wee. You gonna come on my stream? Okay. Big up yourself. Let's go. Let me see you. Okay, you ready? I'm gonna put you on. You ready?
Right.
Adding now. What's up?
What's going on?
I'm happy to see you. Long time.
Exactly. I was back here. I was checking it out because I'm back here behind my business because I got some guys coming here to do a little bit of remodeling overnight,
cool.
Waiting on my security to get here.
Okay.
And I was like, this is just a topic that absolutely has to be addressed. You raise your daughters to be exceptional in the things that they love to do. the level of excellence these young ladies had to go through and the sacrifices they made before and after school to be these amazing gymnasts. And you trust the system, right? And you trust the
Mm-hmm.
coaches. And then
Mm-hmm.
you find out that no one protected your child. They're
I
the
know.
best in the world, and they're broken inside because we allowed a fool to, for years, have access to them. Okay? He's a child pedophile, and this man was protected, okay, at the highest level, purely because people care more about gold than protecting our children.
Amen to
That's
that.
fascinating.
I could not agree with you more because now I think about the other sports like gymnastics is on the and if you're ready, I could take you out. But I know you're getting ready to
Yeah,
do your
take me off because the
okay.
security
I'm gonna
team
get
will come in here
I'll
now.
tell you. Yeah, I thank you. Appreciate you. Thanks
Hey,
for sharing
pleasure.
your time, man. I hope to
Next
see
time I
you.
will catch you. You got
All
it.
right, cool.
Okay.
Thank you. That was excellent. Thank you for coming up, Alexander. I appreciate you so much. That is an excellent um a comment, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. It is a travesty of justice. It is a dereliction of duty for the people who were charged with protecting and managing and overseeing all of the aspects of the gymnastics, USA Gymnastics. It's a failure from so many people, not just Larry Nassar. And those folks should be investigated. And if appropriate, they should be charged as well. If there's evidence found that they broke laws, they should be charged. Thank you. I agree with you, Tan Tan. Exactly. The athlete should be able to wear what's comfortable, not what the public wants to see. Hello, somebody. I agree with you. A blind guy, his wife says, just when it's getting good, I have to leave. Oh, you so sweet. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I know I came on a little later today, but I said, you know what? Hey, Kay, how are you? I'm hungry and everything. I said, I'm still gonna go in and check in with my folks and let them know what's in my mind and what's going on in my world, having watched this testimony a few times and just kind of like really trying to pick apart and digest what they were saying. All right, if you want to come up, Snuggles, ain't nobody stopping you. Come on. You want the link again? I'll throw it in there one more time. Here you go. All right. Yes, sir. Hot chocolate was all. Yeah, I agree with everything he said. Cool. Who is Alexander? I know him locally. I think he's moved back here to South Florida. He should have done a good introduction. He does diamond sales. I know he's like a diamond dealer, like not like Jacob the jeweler like that, but like he's always been in like the high-end jewelry space. So I know him through both social media and here locally. But next time I'll give him a chance to, come and do a shameless plug. Yeah. How are you? You said that guy that was just live with her. Exactly. That's who that was. Oh, that's what you were asking. If that's not what you're asking. Yes. That he was just live, and I was giving you some more information about who he was because I knew of him. Sorry. I hope I understood your question. Okay, cool. This was the StreamYard. Y'all come on because I'm going to probably stay on for not too much longer because my points have been made, but the women are definitely over sexualized. TJ, I could not agree more. The men gymnasts, yes, they got on the long pants. They got on a full pair of pants. You can't even see them. No, some of them do wear shorts, I do believe. But for the most part, they're covered. They're absolutely covered. Yes, you see the muscles of the arms, etc. And I'm just like, why do people do this? Yeah, he said, what black man that does high-end jewelry, diamonds? I would like to bring more people like that on your. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I have not gotten into the invitation list I'm trying to create to bring folks on. I think that makes it kind of like interesting because so we can chat together. That is hopefully my goal for next month to make to provide invites for people who I think would fit the conversation, or maybe who just want to, talk about what they got going on. I agree with you. That's something I've been thinking about how to execute because I usually do it for sure on Saturdays, but I understand what you're saying when it comes to like during the week, etc. How it makes it interesting. Yeah, That fact that people don't even know men like this exist, that looks like their fathers and grandfathers, that proves that people are not inferior because of what they look like and should be. Amen. I'm with you on that, Snuggles. I am absolutely. Again, you're right. We can't take it for granted because not everybody has the privilege of knowing very successful and yet down to earth and trustworthy, loving, caring, good fathers and people. And there are a lot of them. There are a lot of men doing the right darn thing. And you're right. We don't get to see them shine or get highlighted. Same thing with a lot of great women too. So I agree with you. I will do more of making the invitation, because sometimes this is when I realize I'm not always sure what my day will look like and if I'm going to be able to let them on. So if it's up to me now to, if it's during the week, some days are like very busy, day like today, went long. So I was thinking to myself, oh, when am I going to have time to do this? I'm going to do it. But I don't always know. So as I get ready to go into like next week, I will for sure kind of search out a couple people that be like, hey, do you have a window between da, 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 and this time and that time? Maybe after work or maybe during lunch that we can connect. And that way, I hope they can be flexible because sometimes my day goes left quickly. But I hear you. I definitely want to bring on more guests. TJ, when I was in high school, men's shorts was just like, oh man, do you remember those? What was it? Would you say that's 70s or 80s basketball shorts? Bruh. Those were some shorts, bruh. I mean, that's that Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson era where you're looking up their legs. Excuse me. You're looking up their legs. Y'all gonna make me choke. Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was extra short. There's some guys wearing those again. And I was like, please let yourself breathe. Don't get too caught up with that. Yes, absolutely. We had to wear compression shorts. And get penalized? Really? What sport was that? Wow. Yeah, it is a very touchy thing. And I think more people, I know, sorry for the LOL, almost choked. Sorry for the LOL. But yeah, I think about those old school basketball shorts and things like that, even though it's not funny because they also deserve to be, covered if they so choose, men as well. It's track and field. Oh, wow. Yeah, I just remember even for us, I thank God my era of volleyball still allowed the regular loose shorts. My mom would not let me run track for that reason. She was like, "You gonna be wearing underwear, basically, honey." And my mom is very conservative. She even didn't want me to wear. She didn't want me to cheer because she was like, "Well, her Jamaican self." She was like, "You're gonna put your leg up in front of why?" And she was so over it. She was like, "Cheerlead." I was allowed to cheer 1 year, and I wanted to be a cheerleader so bad, but she was not satisfied. Or did I do it 2? Maybe I think it was 1. I think it was literally 1. It was like middle school, but she was like, we're not having that. Not today. Cause she was not like a fan of the short skirts and all this, not nothing wrong, but she was very, very much like, nah, we're going to protect you. We're not going to have you up there kicking up them legs, doing too much. And, with the bloomers, yes, they cover, but it's not always coverage. So, but yeah, it's an interesting, thank you. K24 Nick. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, it's an interesting hour. You could even watch snippets of Simone and Ali and Maggie and McKayla just to get a feel for, the seriousness of the topic, and hopefully what they did yesterday will move the Judiciary Committee, the new FBI director, and other local law enforcement to push forward and look into what other people's roles were and why they failed to protect our children. As Alex said, these folks are very, at the most vulnerable stage of your life, you were basically exposed to a monster and had to keep quiet about it to keep competing. The mental health fallout, they will live with this for the rest of their lives. The mental health fallout alone, I'm just thinking about Simone stepping back. Her testimony made such a difference to me. Even though I was in solidarity with her, I say, Mom, Only she knows what she's going through. The amount of pressure on her, it was, no one else could understand. But maybe some of the very top athletes in our culture, like the amount of pressure. And on top of that, you're dealing with this type of childhood trauma that was never really resolved. Yes, you probably went to therapy, but the people who probably still work at the place, probably still work for these organizations. The people that knew got other people's children now in their care. It must haunt them in excuse me, multiple ways. But I thank y'all. I think my throat is getting a little dry here, but I am excited to bring you, some of these current events topics. I'm excited to bring you some mental health and empowerment topics. So if you like it, please don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe. Please, please, please check me out on Saturday at 12. That's when I do more of the Let's Talk Justice interviews, talking to politicians, talking to judges, talking to folks who are just engaged in the community. Most of them from down here, but I will be mixing it up pretty soon. And again, if you're new, I saw my number go up, up, up. Yes, I've been hitting people up on LinkedIn. I'm like, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel. So hopefully that number most certainly continues to climb. And I'm so grateful for all of you to be with me in this building phase that we're all going through, trying to get our numbers up, trying to, just learn what people like and how to do what we do as best as we can. But I appreciate you. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you all so much for joining me today. And I hope to see you back here. Please do subscribe. And like I said, share if you can. And I will see you guys very soon. Y'all have a good night. Take care. Bye-bye now.